Hey yo, what up, what up, what up? So I spent some time with Sparking Zero to get a full understanding of the game and what the developers were trying to do. And with that being said, this brings me to my review of Sparking Zero. Let's go! So the first part we're going to dive into is going to be story mode. Now this one isn't done in a traditional sense where you have the main story and you change characters as it progresses. This time around they've given you each character separately and you get to go through their fights and battles in which they've had. So you have Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, then you have Frieza, and then they even gave you Goku's Black story. Now, I would have preferred for it to be done in a traditional way. That way, once you've completed a saga, you didn't have to go back and revisit it. Like, that was something I really didn't like, and I think they should have kept it traditional in that sense. Now, moving forward, if that wasn't bad enough, the way that they tell the story was another hindrance for me. So I didn't like the way that it was initially set up, and I didn't like the way that the story was told. It sort of has an iPhone moving photo effect, where when you take the picture and you go back to look at it, it has maybe like a second or two of the photo actually moving before it actually freezes in place. And this is what these guys do throughout the entire story of every character, and I didn't like that. I would have preferred a regular smooth playthrough. We had certain cutscenes that did take place, but once you got into it, it was only interrupted moments later by a freeze frame photo. And that was something that kept interrupting and breaking up my experience while playing story mode. Now, apart from that, you'll revisit a lot of nostalgic battles in which you've seen from the series that we've all fallen in love with, right? My main one that I've loved from the get-go was Majin Vegeta versus Goku. To be able to see them both at Super Saiyan 2 and battle it out to see who's actually become stronger after the 7-year or 7.5-year time skip from the Cell Saga, I thought was amazing. So I think the AI was well balanced here as far as difficulty and gave you a decent challenge, especially if you just put the game in or loaded it up and went right into the story mode without any kind of practice to really get the controls down pat. They'll definitely give you a run for your money. So I think that was a good, addition. That was something that they followed through and was faithful on as far as the difficulty with the Tenkaichi AI. So once you complete a battle, they'll bring you to this board game like progressive screen where you get to select your next mission, or you get to go back and replay missions that you've already done, or if you've missed some of the what if challenges where you could see how things turned out differently if a certain type of requirement is met. I didn't like this one. It really reminded me of Budokai 2, which really wasn't my favorite story mode out of the three, which was Budokai 1, 2, and 3. 2 was my least favorite of them, primarily because of the story mode. I didn't like it, I didn't enjoy it, and I wish they would have done something different. But if you don't like jumping from scene to scene, they do have this collective piece here where you get to kind of do like a jump skip and select where you want to go from each arc. I thought that was more beneficial and helpful, but nonetheless, I think this whole story mode needed a revamping. It wasn't something that I enjoyed ultimately, but I did enjoy going back fighting those nostalgic battles. I just wish we could have enjoyed all of them instead of having some of them cutscened out. Now going on to the main menu. I liked the main menu when I first seen it for the reason of the 3D rendering in which they did compared to the 2D. So at first you get the episode battle, which is where we actually just came from in story mode. And the second one you get custom battles. And this is where you get to go in and make your own story mode using text scripts in which they have created. There's no voice acting in this one, but you get to make your own story mode, put it online and offer it up to other people online to play, and you get to get a different experience that way. I see some people getting down with that, but for me, it's not really my take. And the second main menu in which you get would be the tournament stage in the background, which I think was setting, right? Because it deals with fighting, it deals with training, and this, that, and the other. You have online battles and you have offline battles. Now, me personally, I am an offline battle guy. I do not play online. I do not care to, especially with all the toxicity that's going on with it. Now, one of the other options that they have is the tournament styles. You can create a tournament with different customizations, but you got to understand things like the Tournament of Destroyers or Other World Tournament. You won't get those stages in which they fought on. They're just options that are here. This is one of the other areas where I thought that was lacking and gave it a negative mark, in my opinion, towards the rating of this game. And lastly, you can use super training to practice against the computer. Now, the next main menu that they have is challenges and missions, and it's broken up into two different areas, Xeno's Orders and Whis' Stamp Book. So in Xeno's Orders, you come here to collect rewards after you've completed certain challenges, like perform a 50-hit combo, or use Big Bang Attack 50 times, or use Goku Black 5 times, and so on and so on. The rewards here aren't really about much, in my personal opinion. You get new titles, Zenny, proficiency increases, and things of that sort, but it's nothing that really adds any value to the game for me. There's nothing that really happens here that makes me want to say, yeah, I want to use Zarbon 50 times in battle. Like, it just doesn't excite me. Now, Whis' Stamp Book, on the other hand, is a little bit more beneficial, right? You get quite a bit of Zenny, I think, which is good for what you accomplish. You get Dragon Balls and things like this, so it makes it worthwhile to come back here and check out what he has to offer you. Now on to the next menu, and I gotta say, this has to be the most disappointing menu of them all, which is going to be shop and customization. Going into the shop, you would expect a lot more, especially from a Tenkaichi continuation, and here you just didn't get it. Like, you had a lot of capsules that can alter the way that you play, strengthening certain things and giving advantages to certain players however it is that you want, but that just wasn't enough. And here we have characters which you can just purchase outright. When I first got in, I went straight to like GT Goku and a couple of Vegetas. That kind of makes the story mode obsolete. And this was the most disappointing part of the shop, was the outfits and customization. There should have been way more, and we were just deprived on that. Then they gave you other things like voice emotes and things of that sort. Wasn't really interested in that. Didn't really have any value. I didn't really care to purchase any. That's not why I bought the game. I'm more interested into the fighting and the combat and other customizations. Definitely just not this one. And then on the other hand, we had background music, in which you can purchase. I went through all of them to see was it some that I really wanted, and it wasn't. Then we had to buy certain strategies for the CPU to fight against if we wanted to improve. And then we had the player card backgrounds. Nowhere near enough. It just didn't offer a lot, man. And this is just where it was disappointing for me. So going to customize, and I'm not going to lie to you, have no idea what purpose it served. It just didn't really do anything. All I can really do was like sort and filter. This wasn't where I changed my outfit or add stats to my character. It was nothing. I just didn't find any value in putting this in the game at all. So I'm going to take this time to speak about the roster. Now, on the roster, the thing that bothers me the most, not the fact that there's like 10 to 20 Gokus, not the fact there's like 15 Vegetas. I think the roster should have been expanded upon more, but the problem that I have is that each Goku literally looks the same. From early Z all the way to end Z, they all have the same build, same facial structure. Of course, they have different skill sets and different transformations, and I get all of that, but they all look the same. There is a mod that is out right now, and I forget the name of it, but it has early Vegeta or Scouter Vegeta, early Piccolo, and early Z Goku, where it looks more so like they did in the beginning of the show. That's what each character should look like, rather than what it is they gave us of a continuous design from beginning to end. That was an area that was lazy for me. So here we have the encyclopedia, my data, and theater. All self-explanatory. Personal opinion, another useless menu. Didn't really need, didn't add any value for myself. And then we had where you meet Dende, and this is where you summon all three of the dragons. I've already summoned them, and to be honest, I wasn't really impressed with their wish. Did like the summoning animations, though. I thought that was dope. So finally, we've arrived at what I wanted to speak about since I started the review, and that's combat. This system in which they have here is an amazing system. And I'm not saying that it doesn't have its flaws or anything like that, but this is what I'm saying. This is the closest to anime Dragon Ball fighting that you're going to get. And the reason why I think it's so successful in that area is because of intensity. When you're doing a Kamehameha wave or you're powering up or whatever it is, they have the physics that need to be there for the clothes movement, right? Or for the hair movement. When you do a Kamehameha wave and he's charging it up and he shoots it, right? The aura goes back. I mean, his ki goes back. His clothes go back. His hair shoots back. Like, all of that stuff really puts the person who's playing in charge of this character as if they're in the anime itself, and I love it. The transformations is another thing that I love, because once you transform, you can stand there in that position as long as you want to, really highlighting that transformation, and I love that they did that. Now that does come with a few setbacks, because sometimes I found it hard to move when I wanted to start up charging immediately, or I wanted to take off or block, and I have been hidden quite a few times while holding that pose after the transformation. But nonetheless, I think that is giving us a moment from the series where they just transform and stand there before they attack. I also like the fact that each character came with its own moveset, right? Which isn't really different to the Tenkaichi series, but it's different from Xenoverse, because even when you would go Super Saiyan 1 or 2, 3, Blue, whatever it is, you still had the same moves, right? Which kind of made for a continuous drug out battle of basically the same thing. And here you don't really get that, because going into Super Saiyan God compared to being in Super Saiyan, you get a whole different move set, or the character might be faster, or the combos might be different. Those are the things that matter, and they keep long battles intensified. Now, continuing on that level of intensity, I love how you can use skill points to go blow for blow like Vegeta and Kid Buu. These are just a few things that I can name when it comes down to combat that makes it wonderful. And just to name a couple more, when you get knocked back and you stop like that, that's a pull from the anime. It's attention to detail to things like that that matter to me and that really stand out. Now I can continue to go on and on about the good things I love about the combat system, but also I got to speak about the negatives as well. And the things that I don't like about the combat system that I think can be fixed in just minor updates would be things as far as like the precision window when it comes down to blocking and teleporting. Now, many people have mastered the teleport. I've gotten a lot better at doing it, or the vanish, whatever you want to call it. But I think that should be something that's more exciting than what it is. What we currently have is not the best. Now, I go up against AI, so mine aren't all-day battles like it is between person to person. I also think something needs to be done as far as key management. Like using a key wave, it uses too much Kai. Ultimate attack does too much damage. As far as dashing and sidestepping uses ki. To go towards them uses ki. Like everything burns up ki. And I get that's a way of trying to balance out the game, but I think that's something that needs to be reduced and managed a little bit better than what it is. Now, in the beginning, I told you I spent some time with Sparking Zero to see what the developers were trying to do. And I know my review started off very negative in the beginning, and all of those things are true. I still believe those even until this day, months later into the game. But I think their main focus and priority was on fighting, and of course on the graphical appearance of the game, which looks phenomenal, if I must add. I mean, the game looks beautiful. That's another highlight for me of something that keeps me coming back. So does the combat and the graphics, or more so the gameplay, have high replay value, and is it worth it with all the negative things and the lack that it has overall? And my honest opinion is going to be yes, absolutely. This game is amazing. This isn't a fanboy talking. This isn't anything like that. I have my problems with Sparking Zero compared to the Tenkaichi games that came before it, and where we are with technology and being on the PlayStation 5 Pro and all that kind of stuff, and what we should have gotten. But nonetheless, man, if you're looking for a solid fighter, the one that's going to give you that nostalgia from combat, from pulling things directly out of the anime series and putting it in here with each character's uniqueness, then this is the game that you want. So that brings me to the end of my review. Down in the comment section below, let me know where you guys stand with this game overall. Out of 10, what would you guys rate it? Are you still spending time on it, or have you turned your back on it and went somewhere else because it wasn't what you expected? And with that being said, this is Oh No, Not Another Reviewer, and I'm out.